Welcome to AltScript. My name is Ria.
And I'm JK. Today we've got Eileen Hong here today with us. She is a fashion designer and the founder of her own brand, Nibgnus. I'm going to pass it to Eileen to introduce herself and a bit more about her brand.
Hi guys, I'm Eileen. I also go by Sungbin in Korean. I've been living in Seoul for the past 5 years, running the brand called Nibgnus also for the past 5 years. Yeah, that's about it.
So you just mentioned that you've been living here for the past 5 years. Where were you living before that?
I was in New York for 5 years before that.
Wow, okay.
But I was also kind of back and forth in between states and Korea while growing up. So I did my middle school in Minnesota and then came back to Korea for high school. Then as soon as I graduated, I went back to New York for college.
Oh, wow. So these past 5 years in Korea, it's like you moving back. Was it by yourself? Was it with family?
My family's still, they've been living here the entire time. It was just me after the college. I was about to get my visa and get a job there. But I think my dad always kind of convinced me that I should run my own things instead of working in a company. So at that moment, he was like, why don't you come start the business in Korea?
Wow.
And I thought it's a great idea because the production system in Korea for fashion is very, very efficient. So I was like, oh, let me just explore what it's like to run a fashion brand in Korea. And my initial idea was to be back and forth because if you see my designs, they're not very conservative and they're not very Korean girls targeted. So initially my thought was, oh, I'll make clothes in Korea and then hopefully can sell it in New York or in Western world. And as soon as I got here, launched my first collection, and then COVID hit. So I was basically kind of locked up for 2 years. And then I kind of got very used to living in Korea. I find it very comfortable, found my community. So the whole idea of having to go back kind of dissolved a little bit within time. So yeah, here 5 years now.
That's amazing. How was that transition deciding to move back? I know you mentioned your dad encouraged you to do that and to start your business, which is amazing, by the way. I don't know many parents that do that right off the bat. So that's amazing that your dad did that. But how was that for you? In terms of like you're saying, your designs, your approach is not so Korean, but what I guess made you feel more confident that you can do that here?
I guess growing up here, knowing the culture, knowing the language very well would be the confidence that I had probably. But also it just made more sense to lower the production cost in general. To do the production in New York, I heard some crazy stories about it. And there was always this little a little wall in between me and doing the fashion brand in New York because it seemed like such a big deal that maybe, because I was right after college, I was like, oh, I feel so small to do that. I don't think I can do it. But I think coming to Korea definitely made it a lot easier. The environment being so, I'm used to the environment so much compared to the New York.
That's good.
And how have your designs been received in the Korean market? I know that you were mentioning that it's not necessarily tailored to the Korean market, but how has it been received? Have the sales been good here compared to abroad?
Definitely my initial sales of first few years and my recognition were coming from Western fashion industry. But with time, because I was based here, I was introduced to Korean audience through many different channels. The biggest one was K-pop idols. And they are always searching for something new, crazy. But still, they have to put a lot of things underneath because my clothes are very revealing. And they have very strict... Yeah, our girls are not wearing that. So they put a lot of layers in between, but they still wanted to use it, which I'm very, very grateful for. So I was introduced through that channel first, and then later I was expanding my item, like my items into like accessories, which are more accessible for people who are like less aggressive with fashion. So I think through those multiple channels, I was able to kind of reach to the Korean market. And I also realized that it's all in my head. Like I think that, oh, like Korean customers wouldn't find this fascinating. It's like all in my head. Because I would have multiple buyers like reach out to me and saying they want to carry my stuff in the shop. And they're like, it's dedicated to the physical Korean like customers, right? So it's a physical store. Surprisingly, it sells out really well. And
awesome.
I was kind of surprised. And then I also learned a lesson that whatever obstacle I set for myself is just literally me. Like, so yeah, there's always a way that could happen, and work
That's
out.
such a good line. That's such a good realization as well.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you sort of growing up in different cultures, obviously similar to the way I grew up, I think you sort of end up developing a better sort of appreciation for not just the differences, but also, you know, sort of certain ideas that you develop that stay in your head, and you kind of tell yourself that that's the way things are. But, you know, in reality, it's changing constantly, and it might not actually be the case. So I do wonder, you know, in the fashion world, I mean, obviously fashion is one of those super fast-paced industries. Do you think that even over the past 5 years that you've been running your own brand here in Korea, have you noticed a shift or like a different approach or different tastes or things that have informed you to in your practice?
Within myself, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Every day I think it's changing for sure. Can you ask me the question again?
Yeah. So I guess your cultural sort of understanding of you know, Korea and the West, and knowing the differences, and sometimes over time it's like you develop these ideas of what it's like in those different cultures, but when in reality, when you're here working and developing your brand, have you noticed that there's been certain changes to your previously held, you know, preconceptions?
I think it's always changing back and forth, especially being exposed to a lot of different cultures. Also, in Korea, I kind of formed this community where I'm being constantly exposed to different people from different cultures as well.
Nice.
So I'm very, very grateful for my friends that I'm not always like stuck in one thing. But like living in New York, but also like me living in Korea, me growing up in Korea, going to Minnesota where I'm like the only Asian person who actually came from Asia. I was like one of the 3 Asian people in that school.
Yeah.
And then going back to high school where it's just like Korean typical high school. It wasn't an international school. So, and then after that going to like New York. So my every 4 to 5 years of my life is always just constantly like dramatically changing.
That's crazy, yeah.
So that kind of built me as a person to be just like super flexible and question myself a lot. So sometimes it helps that I question myself a lot, because in some way, it's a right answer. Like in some culture or in some reality, it's a right answer. In some other reality, it's not the right answer. So there's always this like anxious thoughts in my head where I'm like, oh, like, but what is like true to me?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would be a lot much easier if I grew up in like one culture where there isn't much diversity. Which I'm very grateful for my diverse like experience in life, but sometimes I do think that, oh, would it be a lot easier like if I just think in like one strict norms and don't question myself as much? But I think it's always affecting by what kind of stage I'm at, whether that's like in career or relationship with other people, but also like how old I'm getting into, like as an age too. So a lot of these factors kind of decides what I'm questioning each stage. And honestly, that's probably the source of the creativity as well, because you start questioning and you start, oh, what if this is done differently? And I think the ability to being able to bring that question into every single side of your life is you just have so much resources as an artist in your hands, basically. So everything I see in everyday life is like a source of creativity.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I'm learning. Because yeah, like I can't imagine how it cannot influence the way you create. Like because of all the different perspectives. And like I was introduced to your work through John, and I was like, wow, like it's bold, right? You wouldn't really see this, like what you're saying in Korean Girls, but then like you do have this perspective that like just comes out and screams out of your clothes of like, I'm bold and confident and still sexy. And like, that's so cool. Like for you to bring that voice, and like I can only imagine what kind of experiences and influences you had in your life to be able to create that, which is like super cool.
I think definitely my mom probably played like the very big role to set the tone of it. And then as I live my life and then go through my own experiences, I realized that I bond with this side of life very, very tightly. So I have a group of female friends, and what we do is just like over dinner, we just talk about what is femininity, what is womanhood. And we have this like really, really strong bond. And for me to carry this out in the voice of a brand almost feels like my life mission. And this is like the topic that I would discuss with any person I meet, and then see if they clicks with this. And then once they click, we have like a really deep conversation in this, and then they bring their experience of being a woman, or you don't have to be a woman to bring the stories, and you can be a man observing your mom or sisters or very close women in your life, and then if you are observing enough to what their life is like, then we can all connect with this matter. And that also realized that like me setting the obstacles in my head, like, oh, Korean customers wouldn't like this, but like really deep inside, everyone has that. Like, I think every woman carries that soul within themselves. It's just like the culture itself is just like a surface thing. But I think every human, they carry this core like beliefs, and even though they're not listening to it, they know it's there. So once I'm more like, I read about these all the time. I talk about these with my friends all the time. So once I like rub it in someone who's not so conscious about it, and sometimes it's so magical to see that they just kind of unlock this side of them, and it kind of spills out. And those are my like favorite moments. So I think I'm just doing the same thing basically within my work, but also within my free time when I'm hanging out with friends or meeting new people, or I'm just in studio by myself working on something. I think the core, what's underneath is it's like the same thing, but it's playing in different forms, basically.
Oh my wow, that's so beautiful. I love that. It's like your life mission is just coming out in every aspect of your life, and it doesn't matter, what form it takes. I'm like, wow.
Have you always known this, like about yourself? Have you always had the sense of purpose and mission, or is this something that you sort of learn over time?
Oh, definitely learn over time.
Yeah.
I think it almost, when I visualize this idea, it's almost like, have you guys ever played that game where you just like, it's like a black screen, and then once you explore, it unlocks a picture underneath?
Sure.
It's like every experience I have is like unlocking what's the greater picture. And then I think the picture is always changing too, but like little experience come into the picture, and then it really, once you're like unlock maybe 50 the 60%, you're kind of like getting the point. But that's also not like set. That's also changing too. But I think 100%. I don't think I know everything. Like, I'm like, I wish I was like that. It would have been, my life would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like
No,
all of our
sure.
lives would be easier if I was like,
I guess just, yeah, when you were talking before, it's, I guess you were speaking with a sense of conviction and this clarity, right? And it's not that common for people to be able to talk about their mission or purpose with that level or the degree of clarity that you have. So I was curious, like, how do you even get that? But it sounds to me like, Eileen, that you reflect a lot and you think a lot about sort of the more meaningful things in your life and what you're doing and your practice, and that's probably how you sort of arrived there. Makes sense. So thanks for sharing, though.
yeah.
I had another question about maybe some of the struggles. You know, I'm sure even for you, there are moments where, you know, you want to just stop everything and throw in the towel.
That's when I go surfing.
Oh, okay. Very cool. That's cool. But is there, like, what sort of moments do you encounter in your day-to-day or in your career that sometimes makes you want to quit?
Whenever, I think, like, the quit moment is, I don't think I really had that. I really want to quit.
Okay.
But it's like always coming, because if you think about it, I have a brand, I have a business. So if there's a way that I could kind of just redirect this in a way that suits my needs at the moment, then I kind of don't have to quit, but I can just like survive. But I might not grow like sales as much, but if that aligns more with my life, I think I would rather choose that path. But I think the struggle lies in every aspect, because you're like also like running a small business. Like you kind of have to do everything. You have to know, you have to cover everything. But like, let's say I come from designing background. I studied fashion design in a school. So learning the numbers I still haven't got there. I'm still very bad. Like this is very bad business. But like I'm much better than like me 5 years ago. Like I have better sense in every aspect. I also realized that I'm terrible at marketing. My personality is not for marketing. I like suck at bluffing off things. And I'm just like, if it's like 3, I tell people it's 3. But the purpose of marketing is like, it's 3, but it's kind of looking like 30 or 300. I'll let you guess. But I'm just like so honest and serious. I'm just like, it's 3. And then I just realized this is terrible quality to put marketing in. It's big part of fashion. So I'm like getting there. But like those things are things that you can just like learn. I feel like these like life surface, how do you say, like these life things you can just learn. But I think the whole mentality below, like underneath that, is the fact that when you fail, you're the one who has to like pick you up and scold you and tell you, like criticize what went wrong. But also you're the one who has to like pamper you after that. And then you're the one who has to like get up and still do it over and over, even though you feel so miserable. But so like that whole having to do, like, I would rather just take the role of scolding someone or just be a baby. Like, but I have to be the baby, but also like you know, like get your shit together, get up, like you have to do it. What did you do wrong? And then doing it again and again. And then sometimes it feels like it's endless because I'm always doing something wrong, and that feels really bad. But sometimes I'm really lucky, and then things unfold in like a very fortunate way that I didn't even intend. So I think that's like the plus and minus of life. But yeah, doing everything is a bit. But I think it depends on like how you look at it. If you look at it as like, I have full freedom of how to create my life in the area of work, especially, or you could be miserable like me or be like, why do I have to do everything by myself? I don't want to do it.
I think we do the same, because sometimes, I feel like I'm a schizophrenic, sometimes I'm like, okay, like so many voices in my head where you're like, oh, but then no, it's okay, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So I get you, like I understand.
Yeah, that's so real. I feel like that's the hardest part, being your own cheerleader.
Yeah.
When you know all your weaknesses, you're
Yeah.
like, how do I cheer myself
Yeah,
on?
I'm so ugly right now.
I can't
There's
do
no thing that I can find pretty in myself right now.
That's too real.
Struggle is real.
Yes.
It is real. But I think that's really like one very commendable, that like you have that awareness, like because you're a small business owner, like that you just take it on, like head on, of like, I need to continue to just improve and, not back down, and have that fortitude to keep going, which I think, honestly, so much respect for that. Because I mean, I can't imagine how many times like other people, or like, even myself, I'm like, imagine, could I do that? Could I continue to say yes and show up for myself every time? So yeah, I don't know. I'm like in awe of you right now.
And you started this in your 20s.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
wild.
And that not long after you graduated. So, this being your sort of, I guess, your first career, is it? Or yeah. So
Almost, yeah.
And having grown your own brand,
That's incredible.
this much, and 5 years is still a very long time to be running your own brand. And I recently went to your show and I was blown away. It was so amazing. You have to check it out. But is this, I mean, going through all of this in your 20s and now, having to continue down this path, like, where do you see this going? Like, what's the direction that you want to take this in?
I guess when I was working really, really hard, which was like 2022, 2023, I was just working until 2 a.m. every day. There's so much stuff that I had to do around that time. I think I was working so hard, running towards the direction where everyone in the industry thought of it as a success. Like what industry would see as success. And then I feel like I'm getting closer and closer every month, every year. The more I do these activities, I'm like closer to like legit fashion brand. I still don't know what legit fashion brand is, but I have this idea, like being in fashion school, you see all these like brands that like pop off, and then they seem like a legit fashion brand. So I was like running kind of towards more of like what our industry set the goal as. But those are like the shinier goals that is like looked at by a lot of people. And then recently, once I hit like this year, I was thinking a lot about what is success within my life? Like, besides all this like societal idea of success, and especially we're living in a capitalism like society. So besides the capital, like I think I'm at the point where I feel like I'm confident I can make living for my creation, because usually commercial art is like, if you want to create the art that you want to make, you have to sustain that living. And usually people fail in between, whether art part is failed or commerce part is failed. But I feel like, okay, so this is how you make living. I basically learned to work through my brand, because I never really had long-term like corporate job before. And so it was like a lot of struggle was just like on my own, like, but that struggle is real because it's like very catered to my own personality and needs and like lifestyle. So once I finally kind of like got used to it, then like I'm like at the stage where I'm like, okay, so but like, what do I want to be doing like besides this? Like, if I make enough living for me to keep creating the things that I want to do, I have all these channels and like community and friends and like outlets that I can express these things and be connected, then what's the real step, like next step? So I'm still I'm still answering these questions by like trying new different things now. Like me coming out here to talk about these things, I'm so shy usually. So
You're doing amazing.
So I'm just like trying new things. This week I tried jiu-jitsu for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
My body is like falling apart right now. But I just, when these time come, I just have to try new things just to see what clicks with me at this stage. So I'm like just walking around in Seoul and see what clicks with me.
I love
That's
that.
cool, including surfing.
Yeah, but I couldn't surf a lot this year, so that's why I went to the gym to do the kickboxing and the jiu-jitsu. And I had to find some other outlets.
Yeah, I feel like you've shared so many really good golden bites of like wisdom and like life lessons. And I guess like just to, you know, bring this episode to a close, like what are some like key life lessons that you learned from this journey of like, you know, moving back and forth, identity, and now like, you know, navigating the fashion world? Like what are some key lessons that you're left with?
I guess the one core lesson that I really, really try to not to forget within myself is that when you move through the cultures and there's like different norms and that you travel through, so sometimes it's right here, sometimes it's not right here. It's like also within people too. Like for some person, this feels right. For another person, this doesn't feel right. You know, like, so there is really no sense of like right answers or wrong answers, but to really hear yourself like inside and find joy within things that like think with the process, things you do. It's not about, maybe because I'm a very result-oriented person, I had to like relearn this as I do my brands, but also moving through cultures. But I realized that it's the joy that is the most expensive value that we should all not forget. And it's not like dopamine, you know, like that thrill type of like shots of tequila. It's not like that kind of a joy. It's like, imagine, like think of the joy that you had when you were like 5-year-old and when you were playing with your friends at like a playground and you were just laughing. There was no like societal, I'm sure there was within the 5-year-old the society, but like, if you think about that, like such a pure joy that everyone should not forget, I value that so much in life. With that joy, everything just kind of feels like a chapters of your book. Like there's like some more miserable times and some very high dopamine time, or there are some chapters where you feel like you're the king of the world, and then there are some times like there's so like highs and lows. But if you find it funny and like enjoyable, and you can just like laugh at it and just
Just keep going.
yeah, just keep going. And it was like, wow, I'm so miserable right now. Let me just laugh at that for 5 seconds.
Such a great attitude.
Yeah, I'm just like, but you know, this will also pass. But also like when you're being like so adorned by like, when you're being so lucky, when you're like the universe's favorite child at one moment, and then you get so like, oh my God, I'm so great. But that's also like, yes, enjoy that moment, but like also be able to laugh at it. Like enjoy that you're being cocky, but just know that you're being cocky right now. So I think everything passed within those like, life is just those moments. But the joy of life is that something that we should not forget. And I want to actually carry that so much in the brand too.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love how you're able to sort of see yourself not take yourself so seriously. But the insight that you have and the perspective you have, it's so helpful for hopefully like a lot of other people. It definitely is for us, I think. But you know, I think you mentioned, you know, like you're right, like everyone is so geared towards productivity and results, and you know, taking that step back to look at, no, what's important to me is joy, and that joy being like this childlike joy. How do you then balance that sense of joy and it being playful and all of that, but also the need to have to, make and run a profitable business. How do you do that?
I actually brought the joy up because I came from like I grew, how do you say, energany? What's the word for it? There's definitely a phrase in English for that.
Okay, well, I don't know why I'm blanking.
But I was always a very mature child. And like even in my early 20s, I always thought that like when my friends were goofy, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, I don't think you should be like that. But once I grew up and did my own adult life, I actually went into the experience and unlocked that side of myself. I had to grow up really fast when I was younger. But I'm sure I always think of it as like this, that people always come in like at one spot of this one range. So if you're like very childlike, goofy, and like joyful, and there's this, if the other side of the spectrum is like more like mature, serious, and like very responsible, but not able to enjoy, then you somehow born in somewhere in the spectrum. And then I think everyone's life goal is like, there's no right or wrong answer. Everyone's life goal is to just learn the other side and be able to use it. Because sometimes I'm very used to being responsible. So my life mission is to like unlock it a little bit and let loose and feel comfortable within just being. So the whole building the brand idea, I was very serious. But, I was like, I need to make this work. And then now I'm like learning how to be like, but like, what if I just approach this like really childlike way? And part of this new collection that you came to see was full of that. So I made most of things in the studio with my hands. And I was kind of linking back to why I wanted to be a fashion designer in the beginning. I love playing with my hands, just having my hands working on something for a really long time. I really enjoy that process. But as I do business, there is really no time for me to do that. And I was kind of feeling a little lost. And I was like, why am I here? Like, who got me here? Which is me. But this year, because I was thinking a lot about it, I wanted to take a new way to do things, which is like, even if it's not perfect, maybe it's super raw and not as finished products. But what if I just do a lot of things like with my hands? And then I actually did like the whole 4 or 5 weeks before the show, I was working by myself after around until like 2 a.m. every day. So I was in studio by myself, listening to YouTube or podcasts, just working on my hands. And that kind of just, I think this collection definitely for me was like opening to a new path that I feel more comfortable like with this side of myself. But I still have to sell hairbands and hats. Like I do that during the day. And then but I spend most of my free time just unlocking that like the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait to see more of your handmade works moving forward. Yeah. All right, so just last question. Just one word of advice for our listeners, maybe for us as well. If you can maybe just share something that you would like to say to those creatives who are thinking about doing something new, maybe launching their own brand, starting, freelance work. What would you like to share with them? Some words of advice, wisdom.
I usually, I guess, enjoy the entire thing, the process and results, and the learnings that comes from it. Then anything is meaningful. I think there's no right. But I used to have a lot of younger people come to me when they realize that I run Nibgnus. Some people find me on the street or at the pop-up and come to me and like, I need your some of advice for like I want to launch my brand, and every time someone asks me, I'm like, don't launch it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a fucking struggle. I would not recommend you to do it, but if you're really smart, because I'm kind of stupid and maybe that's why I struggled. Maybe if you're smarter than me, you would have, enjoyed it more. So I'm not sure. Like, I don't know you, but I usually tell them not to do the fashion brand. But if you're ready to enjoy it, I think you should do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eileen. We are so thankful that you decided to come on, and thank you for sharing your wisdom. Everyone, please go follow her in the link below or look at the description, and be sure to follow us on Altscript, and we'll see you next episode.
Subscribe.